Hello. Welcome to another episode of Dropping Into Happiness. I swear we were prepared before the countdown started.
Really? And then I second guessed myself because it's been a long work week, and so my brain is. And I know. So I wanted to make sure Rachel and I were on the same page about something, and then the countdown ended, and we were just like, and I was like. So we'll just go with the flow. It's going to be fine.
We're just going with it. We're going with it. I don't think y'all mind when we're a little goofy, right? And it's okay. It's okay.
No, they know us.
Yeah, we just keep going. Well, for those who may not know us, we are your hosts. I am Rachel.
And I'm Maggie.
Welcome, friends. I don't even know what number episode this is anymore. I think it's 35, I believe. Yeah, I think it's 35.
End of August.
Yeah. I know. I still can't believe that.
It is 35.
Yeah.
I just confirmed with our notes.
Yes, this is what happens when you record at home. I was looking at our YouTube channel, because I don't know if everybody realizes we do have a YouTube channel where we post the videos of our audio. And I was looking at our first one, and I know it was just this year, but I'm like, oh, I don't know why I feel like we've grown so much since that first episode, which is so fun. I mean, it just has happened so fast, and it's just so fun. So, yeah, awesome. Like, thank you, everybody. We have some listeners who've been here 100% the whole time, which is super fun.
Which is really neat. And I just want to say, if you are listening to this episode and hearing from us for the first time, we really encourage you, go back, listen to episode 1 and episode 2. We really go more in depth about our specific journeys and where we're at. We touch on a lot of different topics that address health and wellness as folks who have lost over 100 pounds and who are working through maintenance, continuing the weight loss journey, working through setbacks, all of that. So we do love your support, but if you're diving in mid-series, have a binge of some podcast episodes. It costs 0 points and 0 calories.
Yeah. A lot of people I've come across are who's messaged us on social, and they'll be like, I just found you guys, and so I went back to the beginning. And I do think that's great, because like Maggie said, it really says a lot about who we are in the very early ones. But we are in the midst of our journeys still, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, Maggie and I have both lost just over 100, but the journey doesn't end. We are still,
that's what I was going to say. Yeah. I feel like Rachel and I have both accepted. I mean, when you make something a lifestyle, it's for life. Till death do us part. I am here. So our journey will never be over until we leave this earth, because even when we get to our happy, healthy goal weight, then it's a matter of maintaining our healthy behaviors, and then different seasons of life will bring different goal weights or healthy weights or whatever the case may be. This is a long haul, y'all. Full stop. So,
well, I know. And that's funny you say with the seasons change, because literally with the seasons changing, I'm changing out some of my go-to foods and kind of swapping some things out, some dairy ones for some more lentils, because I really like more lentils when it gets cooler. And so we just
getting cooler where you are.
Oh no, not at all.
Oh, I was like,
as the season
it's happening.
Change. I know. No, I'm in Southern California. For anybody who doesn't know, it's been triple digits every day. And then when you look at the weather app, it's triple digits as far as the eye can see. It's okay, it's just hot. It's hot. And it's going to keep being hot.
It's so funny. I don't know if you experienced this, Rachel. For those that might be listening to us for the first time, we both are virtual workshop coaches for WW. So we have workshops throughout each week, and we have members that attend our workshops from all over the country. But I feel like as soon as one person mentions the weather, then it becomes where is it hotter? Where is it raining more? We come as a little competition to see who has it worse. And I'm I feel like the whole country has just had a hot summer this year.
It's so funny though, because there is one other coach that I work with, and she's in Minnesota, and she's like, oh, it was 59 here yesterday. And I was like, it was 105.
59 degrees. Wow.
Mm-hmm. And it's already starting to feel like fall. Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
It will not do that here.
Y'all, the pumpkin donuts are already at Krispy Kreme. So
Are they really? I think Justin, who was our guest a few episodes back, he had mentioned that someone's pumpkin stuff was coming soon. I want to say it was Duncan. Yeah,
already there. I went to Krispy Kreme this week, and I was just gonna get chocolate ice glazed, and they had pumpkins, and I was like, oh, and I wasn't prepared for that. I hadn't looked up the points, and I was like, it's a little too early. Like September, I'll dip into pumpkin. I know you love pumpkin.
Oh,
We're getting off
I
on a big
do.
tangent.
I know.
Tangent.
When we went back to school shopping, Mama bought herself a hoodie that had dancing skeletons on it. I was like, I don't care. I'll wear it this year round. I don't mind.
Rachel thrives in spooky season, so it's coming. It'll be here before we know it.
I know. I'm very excited. Well, we do want to say a big thank you to all of the listeners. I know we posted it on our Instagram the other day, but we have hit over 800 followers on Instagram. So yay us. And then over 300 subscribers on YouTube. So for anybody that does not know that we have a YouTube channel, we do. You can subscribe every week when it comes out. It'll notify you that there's a new episode up. Same thing if you subscribe or you follow to the podcast. Every week when a new one is dropped, you'll get notified. So that's always a fun reminder too. So just want to say thank you before we hop on into topic today. And
what's really cool
this week. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to say about YouTube, you can hit the bell, under the video, especially if you're on a mobile device. If you hit the bell, you will get notified directly to your phone that, hey, Dropping Into Happiness uploaded, so you'll never miss a Wednesday episode.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh my!
Hit that bell, subscribe, like, comment.
Yeah. We do get so many comments on YouTube, and I think that's so fun. I love when you guys interact, when you tell us things that have happened to you, or maybe that things that you relate to, or we've had so many people just saying, thank you for talking about this today. We genuinely love when you guys do that. It just lets us know that our conversations are going the right direction and that it's still a topic to talk about. So I like that. So this week's topic, I know for a long time, we've had a lot of listener questions. This one is just one that we wanted to talk about. However, for next week's episode, I already have another listener asking questions. So
I can't wait to find out.
I know. Next week's episode is going to be a fun one too, because we had somebody reach out and ask a question, which I thought was a great question. And when it's a great question, that great question turns into our topic for the week.
A whole episode.
Yeah.
Look at that.
I know. So this week we're talking about, I'm going to say the word that we dislike first, which is plateau. Remember, we don't like the word plateau, but that's the word that everybody knows most, is the word plateau. We like to call it practicing maintenance, things like that.
Unintentional maintenance.
Unintentional maintenance.
That happens.
So the dreaded plateau. So I have had a plateau. What about you, Maggie? Like, when it comes to your plateau, how do you think you differentiate it?
Right. So with plateau, for me, I don't use the word, as we already addressed. I just have eliminated it from my vocabulary. I understand when other folks use it. And when I'm in workshops coaching, I try to talk through that, because I feel like plateau has such a negative connotation. It makes me feel uncomfy, and I'm sure it makes many others feel uncomfy as well. And so when it comes to a plateau, I think some people think a plateau means when you didn't lose weight for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks in a row. Like, I've hit a plateau, and I'm like, no, that's just normal. It is normal for your body to just chill out for a couple of weeks or a few weeks at a time. So if you're someone out there listening who has had that happen to them, even when they feel like they're doing everything right, it's normal and you're not in a plateau. If I were to consider anything like a full-blown quote unquote plateau or maintenance period, it would be months of like no progress in one direction or another, like sitting in the same place.
I say specifically on the scale though, because that doesn't mean that you are. Right. Yeah, this is specifically
So
scale
that's
related.
Like, if we're talking scale related, then I would say the scale is not moving for months. That's when we can say like, okay, it's time to get curious about what's going on here. Now, for me, I look at when I feel like I've never had a scale plateau that was not within my control. So let me explain. When the scale isn't moving for me, it's because I am not honestly tracking everything that has points. And I think what some folks may or may not realize is that the difference, and I'm speaking through the lens of WW, is that the difference between weight loss and maintenance mode, when you're in maintenance mode, you get 5 points a day added to your budget.
That's the extra. Mm-hmm.
That's it. So if I were to switch my app from weight loss mode to strictly healthy habits, I would go from 25 points a day to 30 points a day, which really only ends up being 35 a week. So if you're going out and having one high point meal and not tracking it, that can put you into an unintentional maintenance. If you're having a bite of this, a handful of this every single day, that adds up, and that can put you into an unintentional maintenance. And it's the same thing for calorie counting too. Yeah. The difference between deficit calories and maintenance calories is not a huge difference when you look at it. Yeah. And so I've never been in a plateau where I didn't know what was happening. Like I didn't know, like I knew it was because I was not honestly tracking. And so I just was like, well, that's the mindset I'm in. So for me, I have been in it, if you want to call it a mindset plateau, in that I wasn't wanting to put in the effort of honestly tracking. I wasn't wanting to be strategic. In workshops the week that we're recording this, we've been talking about embracing no. And if you've been a consistent podcast listener, you've heard me talk about my bratty teenager self. Like, why do I have to do this when everybody doesn't have to? And why do I have to track? And why do I have to like plan pizza night like 4 nights in advance? And woe is me. And that's when I'm in a mindset plateau. And that's when my tracking is affected. And then therefore the scale is affected. And I'm kind of just chilling at where I am. So that's my take on it. Is for me, it's more of a mindset issue. Not necessarily because I'm doing everything right and my body's just not cooperating. I don't really see that as a thing. Either you are in a deficit or you're not. Like, sometimes our body chills out for a little bit, but I'm either doing what I need to be doing or I'm not. And it's like that's just, I'm honest with myself about it. I don't know. Yeah. Rachel?
Okay. The one time I hit a true, air quote, plateau, I was 7 months into my final journey. So the one I started in January 2020. And the entire month of July, and it's so funny because it's so vivid in my brain because it was such a frustrating time for the entire month of July.
About it before.
I think I have. Yeah, I hit my so like Maggie said, we use WW, so we have points. So I was within my points every single day in July, and we got a blue dot for our WW friends. That's a healthy eating zone. So I was in my healthy eating zone. I had at least 30 minutes of activity every single day, and my weight did nothing. It didn't go up. It didn't go down. And I was super frustrated. And it's funny because in the past, that moment, I probably would have been like, this is working. This is dumb. Why am I putting in all this effort if it's not even working? And I don't know what had changed in me so much by that time. But I remember thinking, you know what would happen if maybe I just kept going?
Yeah, well, I think that's evidence that you were looking at it from a lifestyle perspective.
Yes,
because if you really claim something as your lifestyle, it doesn't matter how fast the scale moves. This is just your life and how you're working it. So I think you were like in that mindset of, well, I'm just going to continue with my healthy behaviors.
Well, and I hadn't given myself like an end date for my the amount of weight. I think by that time I had lost about 60. I mean, for those that know, I lost 101 total with the program. And so I was at 60 at that time. And I was just like, you know what? This is, I know that I'm doing good things for my body. Because I've talked about that before too. Physical things had changed within my body within the first 30 days. I started to notice the difference in my body. And so that I think was what helped me too, not looking at just the number on the scale, looking at those non-scale victories. And we have a whole episode about, right, if the scale didn't move, how would we gauge our success? If we had no
we
scale,
didn't even own a scale.
If we had no scale, how would we gauge our success? And that was something I really had to do. And that took that scale's power away from me. And I think once I started doing that and started just making it fun and trying new things and trying new activities, it just kept happening. But I've seen that with people like you were saying, like because we're, like I said, we are WW coaches, both of us almost 2 years now, because we both started very, very close to the same time.
With WW. It's coming up really soon.
And I've been with members who had 6 months of no weight progress, but have seen their pant size go down. and have seen, their sleeping pattern get better and have seen their mindset shift. And then it's funny because then eventually, and they started tracking just a little bit differently. And they were like, oh my gosh, I started tracking my water differently or tracking my food differently. And it just started happening again. Because you said, they were like, I don't think I was truly you know what I mean? Like that
being accurate.
Yeah. And even so, I've even had members go, I wasn't tracking my fruit or my vegetables. And I started doing that, and that made a difference. I mean, it's, and obviously there are going to be some people whose body just is super resistant to weight loss. Cause depending on, your age, any kind of physical challenges or maybe medications that you're taking. And that is 100% something to talk to a doctor about. But like Maggie said, if we are truly paying attention, and tracking our things and being incredibly honest, because when Maggie's saying those, bites here, taste there, we call those BLTs, by the way, bite, lip, taste. They can absolutely add up. And I know it feels like, it's just so much effort, but I've said that to people too. And they're like, how did you lose 100 pounds? And my honest answer is always, I just kept going. I just kept doing these healthy habits. I didn't even feel like I was doing a program anymore because it's just who I was by then.
Right. And it's really interesting because I have heard of, people getting frustrated with the scale and start to problem solve. And then it's like the first thing that comes out of their mouth is like, maybe I'm eating too much fruit, or maybe I'm eating too many 0-point foods. And I'm like, hold up, pump the brakes. First of all, let's look up the calories of a cup of watermelon. It's nothing, right? Or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's nothing. I'm like, wait a minute. Why is it our first instinct that when we're frustrated with the scale, that we're like, oh, maybe I'm eating too much of this healthy food that's very nutritionally dense and great for me. Where is the disconnect there? And so I'm like, I never got fat and I say the word fat, that does not bother me.
And I'm like, you dropped the F-bomb.
Right. And I'm like, I know everybody feels some type of way, overweight, whatever the case may be. I did not become that way because I had too much fruit, too much chicken breast, too many eggs. That's not where I
have heard multiple coaches say that. Honestly, friends, having too many apples did not get us here.
Right.
Maybe it was the tacos, but not the apples.
Right. It's a surplus of those very higher point, empty calorie type foods, right? So that's something that's really interesting to me. And also, Rachel and I didn't talk through this, and I didn't really know that my brain was going to go this direction until we got into the moment. One thing I will say is if you are severely under eating on WW, you will get to a point where your body hits a wall and it simply cannot function at the level of food that you have been consuming, and your body will hold on for dear life because it doesn't know, am I going to get fed again?
Yeah.
And I'm being a little passionate
it's in survival mode. It's definitely in survival mode.
I'm very passionate about it because there's this huge misconception, and I don't know where the miscommunication breaks down in the world of WW, but I will shout this from the rooftops to anyone who will ever listen to me. Your weekly points are there for you to use them.
Yeah.
You should be using them. And if you if you say, well, I ate weeklies one time and I gained weight. Okay, let's talk about the times where you stayed under your daily points and you still gained weight. You can't control the scale, right? So some weeks are just going to be weird, but your body needs that food and needs that fuel. And if you're going to really trust the program. And WWE says your points are there for you to use them. So if you have hit a plateau, the answer is not always eat less. It might actually be eat more. Your body needs to, especially for my friends who are very active and you're adding points like crazy.
Yeah.
Use your points.
I was just going to say that.
I feel like we need to, Rachel, make a mental note, please. I feel like she's really good about that. I feel like we need to have an episode on blue dots, which is very WW specific. So I don't want to alienate any of our listeners who are not on WW, but I have a whole soapbox about blue dots as well. But when it comes to our weekly points, when you've hit a plateau, please, and if you're honestly tracking everything bites, looks, and tastes, and you're making healthy choices, and you're doing the things that you should be doing to take care of you, please do not be your first instinct to think, I need to eat less and roll over more points and save more weeklies. That is not really the case. I'm very passionate about this, if you couldn't tell. And
oh yeah.
From my own testimony, like I'll talk more about this next episode when we do our monthly check-in for weigh-in and things like that. But like my set budget that WW just gives me at the beginning of the week is 203 points. On average, the past few weeks, I've consumed 270 plus points a week. And like had 1, 2, 3, 4 weeklies left over. I'm adding a lot of points from activity. I had points from veggies and water every single day. I've lost weight every single week doing that. And I'm living my life and I'm having food that I enjoy and I don't feel deprived and I'm more energized for my workouts. And like, so yes, if you've hit a stall on the scale, the answer is not always eat less. And so that I'm going to get off my soapbox now.
I know. I was letting you go. You were just like,
I was like
your
I'm
arms were going up. Oh yeah.
I know.
Oh yeah.
I'm fired
if
up.
you're not watching.
I know you're missing out on my dramatics. I'm also like, I also just will, if Rachel, it's cool. I would like to talk through how I feel like I got out of my mindset plateau because as I mentioned, I wasn't in weight loss mindset for a long time and I was like showing a lot of resistance.
But I feel like you were still in a wellness mindset. Maybe not necessarily a weight loss, but you were still very much in a wellness mindset.
Right. Like I was never, as someone might say, off the rails or falling off the bandwagon. It was none of that. I was tracking at least 80% every single week. I was consistently moving my body. That my activity is just a part of my life now. I mean, that's been building for a very long time, way even before I joined WWE. But anyway, I wasn't in a weight loss mindset. And when you're someone who's like, 30 plus pounds above your intentional goal weight and you're like, okay, I would like to get there at some point, you do have to like have some strategy and make some choices and say no to some things. And so anyway, I've pulled myself out of my mindset plateau. And I think the solution for me was, we talk a lot about celebrate yourself, right? If you hit your star goal, celebrate it. If you stayed within your budget, celebrate it. If you lost weight, celebrate it. If you feel good in your jeans, celebrate it. Whatever the case may be. I think the missing element for me was I was not getting curious. When things worked, how did they work? Yes. I wasn't going that extra level. I kept and I'm pretty sure in podcasts, I was like, my goal is to stay within my weekly budget. I just want to stay within my weekly budget, but that wasn't specific enough. And so once I started, okay, we've talked about meal prepping. So I've been really consistent with prepping my breakfast and my lunch for the work week and, menu planning for dinners and having my snack options. Once I started doing that, it made it a lot easier to stay in my weekly budget. So now the goal is not stay within my weekly budget. The goal is meal prep your breakfast and lunch.
Yeah, like what was the tools that you were doing now?
What was my strategy? So then each week when I've weighed in, I'm like, okay, I know that what allowed me to lose this weight this week was that I stayed within my total weekly budget.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how many blue dots I got. Doesn't matter, whatever. Is I stayed within my points. I did not go negative. And I honestly track, because we talked about how when we don't honestly track, we don't really know where we are, and we can very well put ourselves into maintenance or surplus. And then it's like, well, how did I do it? Like, how did I make that happen? Because I still ate a 16-point blueberry cake donut this week, okay? And I had hibachi, and I had all that, right? So I'm like, how did I work that in? It's like, well, I really see the value in protecting my weekends, taking Saturday off of social media, picking out my recipes, meal planning, going to the grocery store on the weekend. Like, I see the value in doing that. So me saying that out loud and talking through that, I'm like, oh, okay, well then I need to prioritize that again this week specifically. Do it again. Ooh, I lost weight again. That feels good.
Right. And you know what? You know what's very funny / ironic about this entire conversation you're having is I know you have asked other people what worked for you, what was, and you have legit
asked for myself. I was not like, Rachel, oh my gosh, this could go like an entirely different podcast episode. So I don't want to take us there yet, but like. As a coach, as someone who's very active on social media, as someone who loves to help people and educate and do all those things, I was doing a lot for other people. I was prioritizing a lot of people. And I was trying to show up for a ton of people and be consistent for other people and, share things on Instagram, not for my own accountability anymore, but like, oh, maybe I'll help someone.
Yeah.
And I wasn't actually thinking about myself. I mean, like, what's actually working? Like, what's not working, and what can I do differently? Like, it was just like, oh my gosh, another week I didn't stay in my points budget. Ugh, I'll try again next week. Like I wasn't getting down in the nitty gritty. So I feel like if you're in a mindset plateau, pick something to try this week that you think might make a difference. Then when you see success, say it out loud.
Yes.
Okay, this is what I achieved. I hit the goal. How did I make that?
How I did it.
Say it out loud. If you I talked about it on Instagram, or I'll talk about it with my mom, or I go to a workshop myself and talk about it. But voice it out loud and get curious about how you make it happen, and then be like, okay, I've said it in podcasts before: wash, rinse, repeat. Do it again and again and again until it stops working or something changes, and then
or even then, once it starts working and you're like, ooh, you know what? If I added a little bit of this, or if I did this on this day, you can build from that. You can expand on that.
Right.
But it's so funny that you say that, because I can't tell you how many times I've asked people when they say, oh, I had a great, even if somebody just has like, because we do check-ins when we do our virtual meetings, and sometimes people will just tell me, oh, I'm good. I had a good week. I will ask them, tell me what was good about the week. And then it floors me out. Sometimes people are like, huh, like they really have to stop, because they feel that it was a good week, but they don't really look at what made it a good week. Why was it good? What actions did you do that made it a good week? And I love when I can get that spark in people, and they're like, you know what? And then they start thinking about, like, I meal planned and I got an extra walk in this week. And I'm just feel like I adore when I can get people's brains moving when it comes to that.
And we can get to the deeper level, because, it's like, well, Rachel asked me, like, what was good this week? Like, oh, well, I went on 3 walks. Well, then it's like, how did you make those 3 walks happen? Yep. How did you get out the door? Did you lay your clothes out the night before? Did you set an alarm? Did you like put your shoes by the door? Like, what did you do? Because success doesn't happen by magic. And I love magic. And you trust magic. But like that, it doesn't happen just magically. You don't just like magically lose weight one week and then I mean, it doesn't magically go on either, FYI. Right. Like, it doesn't.
Actions make that happen. And it's not the grapes, I promise you.
It's not the grapes. We're still on that. I will be on that for the rest of my life. But it's like, it doesn't just magically happen. So, like, get down in the nitty gritty. So, I think we've touched on a lot of different aspects of, like, what does plateau mean? Is it really a scale thing? Is it really a tracking thing? Is it really a mindset shift that needs to occur? Like, I think it can be a lot of things at once,
or multiple of those things happening. Like, and I feel like sometimes that slowdown of the weight can affect our mindset too. So not letting that scale affect your mindset. And just keep moving forward, keep building those healthy habits, keep doing those things. And it's so funny that you said about how, just because it's not moving doesn't mean, I'm going to eat less now. I cannot tell you how many members I've been like, tell me what your week looked like. And they'll be like, I worked out 5 days this week and I did this. And I always had rollovers. And I'm like, I'm sorry, you were not consuming all of your daily points. And they're like, oh no. And I tell them, okay, I'm like, I don't know if you're thinking this is what I'm going to say, but honey, I need you to eat more. And they're like, what?
I know.
Even my daughter, she's like, that doesn't make sense. And I kid you not, I have had multiple members be like, oh my gosh, the scale started moving again once they started consuming more food. Points. And we're not saying like, go out and have tacos and have pizza, but finding those. But I'm not saying like, just because you need to get some, like, you know what I mean? Like, add a little bit of extra avocado to your salad or to your toast.
Use real butter.
Have a handful of nuts. Have whole milk, like whatever. Those kinds of things.
Higher fat content meat. For my meat eaters, you don't always have to eat 99% fat free ground turkey.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, let's be honest, 93.7 or higher tastes better. So if you have some points, you can have the same 3-ounce serving, but you'll spend more points, you'll get more calories, you'll get more fuel for your body.
My husband hates when I get the fat-free refried beans. He's like, can we just have the ones with the fat in it? And it's like, still very, for WW, it's still very low in points. And I'm like, okay. Just those little things.
Yeah, you don't always have to cut corners or like, I mean, if you have the points, it's just, I've never struggled with using my points. I don't know how people have that mental, like that space. I don't know what it is, but I think somewhere in the breakdown of the program, people get lost. They think the weeklies are only there for in case of emergencies, or you've been naughty if you've like eaten your weekly points. And I'm like, no, like they're part of your budget. You just get to choose how you use them. You can
and
use
friends,
them all
if you
once,
do use your weeklies, please don't do that thing where you're like, oh, I have to work off what I had. No. You've already earned those. Like those are points that you are allowed to have without any repercussions, without any guilt. But Maggie, I kid you not, it was either this week or last week. I had a member come into my WW workshop who was one of because people will literally tell me, oh, I'm a Maggie's girl. And she told me, she was like, she goes, honestly, she had started utilizing her weeklies because you said you used yours. And she's like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe the difference in my mindset, in my life, because it felt more sustainable.
How you feel. Yes, like how you feel like, oh my gosh, I did not want to be deprived. And I think I lost my first 100 pounds pretty quickly. And I was someone who wasn't necessarily afraid to use the weeklies. I was just not using them to their full capacity. And, you know, and I would like skip out on things because I thought, oh, well, I've already had like a high point meal this week. Like I probably should, even if I had the points, you know?
Yeah.
Like now, you know, I'm re-engaged in my weight loss mode and I feel like, okay, I'm going to get to goal. But I'm just like chill if the weight losses are slower. Because I'm like, we're still moving in the right direction. It's going to add up and I'm not deprived and I'm not like sad all the time about like missing out on things, you know? So it's like your budget's there for you to use them. So, and it's interesting that when we put ourselves in an unintentional maintenance, it's because we're not honest tracking. But if we were using our budget to the full intensive purposes and using personal points to our advantage, like, I don't know if we would feel led to not honestly track as much, right? Because we would have more points to work with. I mean, we just do. So yeah, we touched on a lot of different things, and like I think we got some ideas for maybe some subtopics.
I know, because
conversation.
It's funny. I feel like we very much expanded on the idea of a plateau and the idea of, oh well, if I'm not losing, I must need to eat less, and that's 100%. Like, no, if you are honest tracking,
unless like you haven't been honest tracking at all, and maybe you're spending like way more points in your budget, then and maybe it's not even a matter of eating less portions, but like different nutritionally dense choices.
I was going to say that too. Because when I'm really on plan, I eat way more than when I do when I'm not. But my points are much, much higher. But when I'm on plan, I eat so much more throughout the day, but it's I eat, sweet potatoes and broccoli
healthy,
and bananas and apples. And but I feel like I'm constantly eating. And when I'm not paying attention to plan, it ends up being more like cookies and pizza and things that are much higher, but I don't eat as often. It's just, it's very weird. Yeah.
Well, it's I'm not as satisfied too. I mean, like, and I'm not as energized in my activity and I just don't feel as great. Like, I mean, we really do feel the impact of it. So, yeah, I think hopefully y'all got the picture how we feel about plateaus and maintenance. And if
and like you said, body wise, mindset wise, like there is multiple ways that we could have one of those.
Yeah. And so if you have questions, don't forget you can always reach out to us, commenting on YouTube, messaging us on Instagram, dropping into happiness. We're never afraid to receive feedback. We'll stand by what we believe in and what has worked for us. At the end of the day, it's your journey. You got to do what's going to give you peace. I just remind you, friends, only do things that you feel comfortable maintaining for the rest of your life. And it sounds dramatic, but if this is a lifestyle. It has to be things that you can maintain. Otherwise, we're going to gain the weight back, lose it again, gain it back, lose it again.
Yeah, it will not feel sustainable. Cycle. It must be a sustainable habit, something that we can just see ourselves doing. It's who we are now. And like you said, like I had to not give myself that time limit too of, I want to lose weight by this time.
Yeah, like I'm done with that.
That had to switch for me. And so all sorts of different things. But I know we did go in a lot of different directions with this topic, but more so than I thought we would, which was very exciting.
Yeah,
though. So
it was fun. I'm glad
hopefully this was helpful for somebody, or somebody's listening to us being like, these girls are that nuts crazy. Like,
Right. Okay, we get it. We're gonna get our weeklies. Like, woo,
they're like,
calm
wow,
down.
Maggie is super passionate about this one.
Yeah,
Okay.
I am. And if you follow me on Instagram, you're like, okay, Maggie, we get it. Because I talk about it a lot. But it's like,
Yeah.
I just care about y'all. And I want you to live a happy, healthy life and not be miserable at living your program. And I feel like if you really work the program the way it's intended to, you're going to see success on the scale. And you're going to feel a lot happier on the journey, which will then help you to maintain that momentum because you feel good and you feel content. So
hopefully on our Instagram post this week, I'll try to do a bullet point of some of the things we tipped on, because we just went like
takeaways.
Like, sorry, we went a little fast on that one. Okay, well, coming to the end of the show, it is always time for our star goals and recommendations. So, do you have a star goal for this week, Maggie?
Yes, and as I mentioned earlier, I've been really rocking it out with making breakfast and lunch for the work week. So that's my big intention for the week, is just to maintain that. So we already went grocery shopping today. And so this weekend I'm going to make Emily Bites blog Korean inspired barbecue turkey. Something like that, with some rice. And for breakfast, I'm going to have some waffles and some turkey sausage and eggs and veggies, because I like to get my veggie point early in the day.
Me too.
Yeah, so that's my only goal, is to accomplish that this weekend, because I know if I do that, then other things will fall into place. And then my recommendation for this week, and I touched on it, is to pick one thing about the week to celebrate, and then ask yourself, how did I make it happen? And really be as clear and concise and as obvious as it is. If it's like, I set my clothes out the night before and that made it easier for me to get up in the morning, say it out loud. Or like, if I chopped my veggies as soon as I got home so they were easily accessible to me, like, say it out loud, write it down, and then strategize on how you can wash, rinse, repeat, because it's going to make such a difference in your mindset and you'll continue to crush your goals.
You made my jaw drop the other day, and I was like, why have I never done this? You laid out your entire week's worth of clothes.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
I was like, why do I not do that? Oh my gosh, that'd be so much easier in the morning for me.
Yes. Like, I feel so less rushed. And yeah, like I'm doing that forever now. You know, and it doesn't have to be like super crazy and elaborate. Like, I don't lay out my shoes or anything. It's just like top, bottom, or like dress, and just make sure it's steamed or ironed, like it's hanging up ready to go. It just makes the morning so much easier. So that's also on my star goal, but I was like, I shouldn't share like 8 star goals, but yeah.
I've already hit mine for this week, because this is Friday that we are recording. So my star goal for this week was to do one new WW recipe this week, and I did. I believe I posted it on my Instagram, and I did because I've kind of reevaluated my go-to food. So with WW, we have what we call a 0-point food list, which is essentially a lot of fruits and non-starchy veggies. And I swapped out one of my 0-point foods for potatoes. And so I added sweet potatoes to my lineup. And so I did a sweet potato sheet pan. So I had chickpeas, broccoli, sweet potatoes with like chipotle chili powder and garlic powder. And I roasted that. And then I grilled some chicken and I added that to it. And I had that for my lunches. Holy cow, was that so filling. It was so yummy. I ended up adding points to my day with WW for my veggies. And by the time I had dinner, I literally still had almost all of my day left for dinner. And I have, 2 teenagers and a husband who are not on program. So I like to have that flexibility with dinner.
I feel the same way.
So like, no matter where we go or what we do, I feel like I have wiggle room. And that's what makes balance for me. You know what I mean? So that I was very excited about that this week. So, but my recommendation is, and I've said this to everybody, if you've ever been in one of my workshops and you have asked me about, plateaus, I will always tell you to shake it up. And that can mean multiple things. That could mean, if you love walking and you walk every day, maybe try dancing this afternoon. If you love to have a really small breakfast, a really small, like point wise lunch, and then a high point dinner, maybe have a high point breakfast and a low lunch and a low dinner. Maybe, you know what I mean? Maybe if you
try
like,
something different.
Yes. If you have a lot, like if you like those like sparkling waters with flavors in them, maybe try a water with lemons in it, whatever that shake up is. Shake something up, because a lot of times our body can get so cozy and be like, this is nice. I'm going to stay right here. But when you can throw a curveball at it, sometimes that's all it needed to kind of get your giddy up, going
and
again.
I think too, that helps with just the mindset plateau too.
Like
when you just try something new, it feels fresh, keeps it spicy. Like, for
spicy.
Sure.
I like
All
that.
right, so I'm just going to go ahead and share 2 quotes because remember at the beginning of the episode, y'all, when I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do because we have 2 quotes. So I couldn't remember
and that
what
was my bad.
Rachel told me to do. So first quote is an anonymous quote. It's okay if you fall down and lose your spark. Just make sure that when you get back up, you rise as the whole dang fire. I edited that one. You can insert your own there. And then Rachel also sent me Bruce Lee says, if you always put limits on everything you do, physical or anything else, it will spread into your work and into your life. There are no limits. There are only plateaus, and you must not stay there. You must go beyond them.
These things will not stop us. Nope.
We will not give up.
Mm-mm.
Non-negotiable.
Nope.
All right, everybody.
I know. Well, it is time to say it. So thanks for dropping by.
Have a magical day.
Yay. Bye.